Meteorologist Matthew East here with you as we're looking at today's Carolina weather video for this Tuesday, the 21st day of December. Some folks had a little bit of light snow overnight last night. It was enough to even dust the ground in some areas across the region. This was with that disturbance that was moving in. It was a little stronger, or at least able to wring out a little bit of more moisture than was indicated. And again, there's enough for a few snowflakes around last night. But the big deal, of course, everybody's talking about the Christmas storm. I'll spend a lot of time on that. Let me take you through the days leading up to Christmas, and then we'll get to the Christmas storm itself. Here's the radar this morning. A few light returns at the point I'm cutting this video here during the 5 a.m. hour across North Carolina, up into Virginia. But this is the big deal right here. Just a tremendous battering continuing for Southern California. When I'm cutting this video, it's raining heavily in Los Angeles, rain around Las Vegas, and not just a little rain around Los Angeles, a lot of rain. And boy, the mountains there of Southern California, up in Nevada, Arizona, and even Utah just taking a beating. Temperature-wise, there's some milder air pushing our way. We're really going to taste that for really one day. I think tomorrow a lot of the Piedmont is able to get up into the 50s for highs, but that'll be about it. Then we'll get into this new push of colder air that's waiting in the wings. Let me go back here. Here's the upper air chart today. Kind of a broad ridge across the middle part of the country temporarily, but here's the area to watch off of the Pacific coast. Exactly how the disturbance will eject out of that and move eastward, that'll determine the specifics of our Christmas storm system. I'm going to take you on the GFS here through this system, but I still don't think it's the model of choice for the Christmas storm. But here we are today. We'll see a lot of clouds around the region, highs mid to upper 40s, it looks like in most spots across the Piedmont. Tomorrow, really tonight and tomorrow, we could see a few sprinkles as one more little disturbance rotates through. Behind it, we get into some chillier air once again, so back down into the 40s for highs Thursday. And there is Christmas Eve at 1 in the afternoon on the GFS. The GFS has come around to the other modeling, or at least it's getting closer to the other modeling in terms of the timing of this system as we get into Christmas Day. Now again, this is the GFS. I don't think it's the best model for this, but this is Christmas morning. The GFS takes the low, really, this is the 0Z run, really takes it right over Charlotte, and then close to the New England states, and does crank a very significant snowstorm up there for the New England states. But let's do a little comparison. The European and the Canadian, very similar, and I still would lean toward those two models doing the best job of the 0Z modeling suite. Here's the European. This is Valley Christmas morning, and there is the disturbance that comes from the Pacific, and really what the big player for us is going to be is how and when it phases with this northern branch energy. The GFS wants to phase it a little differently than the European and the Canadian. That's why you wind up with a further north solution on the GFS. Now you're dealing with timing two separate disturbances and when they phase, and that's really the big determining factor in what happens here at Christmas. So forecast is kind of like threading the needle on this one, but the modeling in terms of the European and the Canadian has been very consistent over the past several runs with this. That's the European. There's the GFS. I'm sorry, this is the Canadian at the same time, and it's already beginning the phasing process there on the Canadian of those two separate disturbances. The GFS phase is done before that point in time, and the whole thing's farther north. A lot of times the GFS overdoes the influence of the northern branch, and that might be a case of what's happening here. Let's go down to the surface. This is the UK Met. It's way south. This is Christmas evening, a low west of Tampa, and then the day after Christmas, the low is pretty far east of Cape Hatteras. That's the farthest south solution by a long shot. Let's go to the Canadian. Boy, the Canadian is one of the dream scenarios for snow lovers across the interior southeast. There is the low sitting in western Georgia Christmas morning at 7 in the morning. And then it moves to near Charleston and Myrtle Beach by Christmas evening, cranking snow all the while for the I-85 corridor from northeast Georgia, especially in the upstate and much of North Carolina. I-95 gets into the game as well. Okay, let's go down to the surface and precipitation. This is the European. This is valid later in the evening, really 1 a.m., the day after Christmas. And this is as the system is transferring to the coast and pulling away. There's the European, Canadian 6 hours earlier. And again, those are just dream scenarios for snow lovers. And the HPC, the National Weather Service guys, they are leaning with the European scenario, much like they were with the preliminary package yesterday. And again, this is a deal where, again, you're dealing with the phasing of these two branches, and the timing of that, and exactly when that phasing occurs, and how strong, how significant that phasing is. That all is really into the equation for what happens around here at Christmas. I'm leaving my forecast unchanged from yesterday. I'm still going with snow for much of the interior Carolinas on Christmas Day. But again, it's still very early. We're still 4 days out. And when you're dealing with such a precarious kind of phasing of these two branches, a lot can change. And I know folks say, you're just kind of covering yourself. That's a cop-out. It's not. It's just one of those things. The knowledge of the science of meteorology can only tell you so much. And all we can tell you is that the potential for snow is there. And a lot of the folks that are watching this video across the southeast for Christmas Day, as early as Christmas Eve night, back into parts of extreme North Alabama and maybe Tennessee and North Georgia. Christmas Day for the Carolinas. If the European and the Canadian idea is correct, there could be a lot of snow Christmas Day into Christmas night as it begins to push up the coast. Not going to throw any type of amounts out because, again, that's just pure conjecture at this point. But again, if the European and the Canadian solution is correct, it could be a big-time snow event for parts of the region. But again, don't hold me to that just yet. I'm just kind of laying the potential out there for you. And that's how it looks as of today. If the GFS is right, and it could be, if the GFS is right, rain, maybe ending as a little snow in North Carolina, that'd be about it. GFS would not be a huge winter event at all, but we will see which modeling wins the day here. Again, I'm still siding with the European and the Canadian as of right now. All right, that is it for today. Have a great day, and God bless.